I'm about to show you how you can actually read someone's mind on a sales call. This isn't some NLP bullshit, this is real psychology. Basically, every objection that they tell you at the end of the call, they already told you in the first 20 minutes. You just weren't listening properly. I can usually predict exactly what objection someone's going to say before they even say it. And after 250 million in high ticket sales, I'm going to show you how to. So here's the secret. People don't hide their objections. They tell you everything you need to know in the discovery stage. The limiting belief that's been stopping them so far is usually the exact objection they're going to give you at the end of the call. What is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is the reason the person is telling themselves why they aren't where they want to be. Sometimes these are external, so they might blame family, they might blame time, they might blame knowledge. In other scenarios, they're open straight away and they know it's internal. They know they've been procrastinating, they know they've been putting things off, they know they've been lazy. So it's our job during the discovery stage to take someone from blaming external circumstances to taking internal responsibility for their actions and their limiting beliefs. And for you as a closer, it's very important to realize that the reason people aren't where they want to be in life often is down to them. Of course, occasionally there is some external circumstances, but a very easy way to overcome this is think to yourself, is there a person in a worse situation than this prospect or a similar situation that managed to get to where they wanted to go? If the answer is yes, then ultimately the reason behind that prospect not being where they want to be is down to them. And it's very important we make them aware of that during the discovery stage. Now, the real power here is overcoming that limiting belief during that discovery process. The reason why it's so powerful during the discovery process is because there's no investment attached to it yet. We are just looking at what's been holding them back personally and helping them to overcome that there and then. We might want to look at what they've been missing out of because of this limiting belief or because of this action. We also might want to look at what happens if they hold on to this belief. And finally, why it's worth it to them to actually let go of this belief or this limitation that's been holding them back so far, and what things look like when they have let go of it. Let me give you 3 very quick examples. So the first could be someone who's a bit of a procrastinator. You might ask them, what have you tried so far to fix this? And they'll say, well, I've been looking around for a while. I've looked at one thing, then another, and I've sort of just been putting it off to the next week, the next month. The limitation here is that they're a procrastinator. They're always waiting for that perfect opportunity. They're putting things off, and they're ultimately not taking action. And guess what? We can predict here what the objection is going to be. More often than not, it's going to be, I need to think about it. Example 2 could be someone who's like the perfectionist. We might ask, why are you not where you want to be yet, in simple terms? And they'll reply, well, I've not just found the perfect thing, or I'm waiting for the right opportunity. We live in a day where there is literally unlimited opportunity. As long as they have connection to the internet, there is so much opportunity out there. Their limitation here is they're trying to outsource the responsibility. They're trying to outsource their own success instead of taking full responsibility of it and taking action. And guess what objection you will get if you don't handle that there and then? They'll say, guess, I've got another call with a competitor after you. Or maybe you'll get, I need to think about it again. Example 3 could be someone with a scarcity mindset. Let's say someone's been doing their own thing for ages and we ask, why haven't you got outside help on this before? They'll reveal, well, I did something a couple of years ago and it didn't work out. I'm a bit worried about doing something again and getting in the same situation. Their limitation here is fear. It's fear of loss. And once again, guess what objection you will get at the end? You'll get, I need to think about it, or it's too expensive. Ultimately, a fear-based objection. I'm going to play a clip from a recent call here where this exact thing happened. Ultimately, I brought that limitation to the surface. And guess what objection I got at the end of the call? Now, sometimes, even though you handle that limitation or that belief during the discovery process, it can be a bit sticky. And you could do the best job ever, but it still might rear its head at the end of the call. It just means we're going to be able to deal with it so much easier because we've addressed it earlier on and identified the real thing that's holding the person back. Let's look at the call now. You seem like a pretty sharp guy, but you've wanted this level of financial freedom for like 5 years. What
Yeah.
do you feel has stopped you from achieving this already, do you think?
Um, I've feel like definitely, well, for one, is just the inconsistency of not keeping my head down and continuing at it for a long enough time. And I mean, yeah, that's the biggest contributor. Not believing in myself. 2 to 3 thousand. I mean, should probably talk to my wife about it. About about spending that kind of money for sure. There's still no guarantee. Like there's no magic pill. Obviously, yeah, it comes down to me, but I guess it's just the thought of like just the fear of it not working and just investing all so much money. But
Sure.
I
I
mean,
get it. I get it, but
what's the best way to how how do I pay?
I'll go through the onboarding with you now. Oh, are we doing this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let me share my screen with you. See, I called it. This is so common. Whatever comes up during the discovery phase as their limiting belief often is the exact same objection they're going to give you at the end of the call. But that's why it's so important during the discovery stage that we address it as best we can and overcome it. Sometimes you'll overcome it that well during the discovery phase that the objection will just disappear at the end of the call. But other times, like I mentioned, it can be a bit sticky and people don't let go of these things too easily. So you might have to readdress it again in the objection phase, but it's going to be so much easier to deal with. So now let's look at step by step how we can actually help someone to overcome this limitation or this belief that they've held on to. Step one is to actually identify the pattern. We need to find out what it is. Let's pay really close attention to the language patterns here and see if they're externalizing the success or if they're already sort of realizing that they're in their own way. Let's use the example from earlier. Someone who's been shopping around for a bit hasn't taken action. Step two here would be to reflect it back at them and say something like, so it sounds like you've been looking around for a while. What are the chances that you'll get to where you want to go if all you do is look? Step three is to address the root head on. And we might want to say something like, if we stop looking and actually took action, everything then becomes possible. But if we don't, even the perfect program isn't going to work. Would you agree? And step four would be the consequence frame here. Let's look at what happens if they continue to hold on to this limiting belief. So we might want to say something like, if you continued holding on to this lack of action and just kept waiting for the perfect solution and ultimately didn't take any action, what would things look like 12 months from now? Yeah, they'd look the same, right? And on the flip side, if you actually took action 12 months ago, 2 years ago, since you've been starting looking, how do you think things would look different right now? Okay, so really it's not about the perfect program. It's about whether you're actually ready to break that pattern that's kept you stuck until now. What do you think? And step five would be to get them to actually take that responsibility and ownership. So we might want to say, so are you actually ready to make a change now and push against that hesitation that's held you back up until now? If this lands with the prospect, then there should be no reason why you'll face objections at the end of the call. Occasionally though, like I mentioned, some of these limitations are really sticky, so we might need to address them again in the objection phase. But more often than not, if you do the work here, it's going to be so much easier to overcome. And just a simple reminder of what you've already gone through in the discovery phase and reminding them that it's that same pattern, it's showing up again. That hesitation, when you're saying I need to think about it, is that the hesitation showing up? It's holding you back again. It's going to be so much easier to loop back around and actually close the sale. Here's what changed for me more than anything. I stopped trying to overcome objections and started trying to prevent them. A lot of salespeople out there, as soon as they hear a whiff of an objection in the discovery phase, they'll try to avoid it. They'll try to sweep it under the rug. The most important thing you can do is pull it out, stare it in the face and handle it there and then. Because once the investment gets involved, it's going to become 10 times harder. Because then that fight or flight response kicks in, the fear kicks in, and handling it in a non-stressful environment like the discovery phase makes it so much easier. And when you address these limiting beliefs in the discovery, objections disappear.